That's really good news. I'm very pleased to hear that the French finance minister is actually supporting Antoine Deltour. I mean, we're very supportive of him here. Several of my colleagues will be giving evidence in his defence in the court case. I mean, as you heard in the package there, he is the reason we've been able to look into some of the tax affairs here that are enabling corporations to avoid paying their taxes. And he is the hero of the story here. And at the same time here in the Parliament, we have President Juncker, who's the president of the Commission, and he is actually responsible for this tax activity, the industrial scale tax avoidance activity in Luxembourg, which Antoine Deltour revealed to us. So, you know, I think that the legal action is basically entirely misdirected.
Responsible for it? Are you suggesting that JeanClaude Juncker should step down as president of the European Commission?
Well, we haven't actually called for that. We had a motion to that effect shortly after he took office, but we didn't vote for him as Greens. But we think it's absolutely essential that he proves himself to be active in this area. And we do need him to come to our tax committee and answer our questions, because it's clear that he was the architect of the tax laws in Luxembourg, which have led to so much trouble and so much tax avoidance. He was either finance minister or prime minister for the time during which this system was established. And so, you know, it's crucial that he answers our questions and he's seen to act.
Now, many have said that Luxembourg has, since the Lux Leaks revelations more than a year ago, have been more forthright. Do you agree?
I don't think really that the behaviour of the member states of the European Union has been tackled as it should be tackled. We still see tax competition between the member states here, and the people who benefit from that are the corporations. And my country's guilty here as well. You know, the Conservative government in Britain says they support tax competition, but actually it's the corporations that gain from tax competition, and it's the people of Europe who lose. So we need to see much better tax cooperation, and that's what we're going to be working for here in the Parliament.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not talking about Panama. We're talking about a member of the European Union where other members of the European Union have banks that park their money. If the European Union were to clean up its act, would that be enough?
Well, I think there's two things. One is that we need to make sure that we have cooperation, and we need to outlaw the sort of tax avoidance practices that different member states are engaging in different ways. So, you know, in Britain we like the patent box. That's a way of helping some companies to avoid tax. Other countries have very low corporate tax rates. Luxembourg has these strange deals. And in Britain we have the relationship with the offshore territories. So we've got that behaviour in the EU, but we also need to clean up the behaviour of the tax havens across the world. And we need to think about tax havens in a different way, I think. So obviously we think of those palm-fringed islands like the Cayman Islands and so on when we think of tax havens, but actually we need to think about Britain's overseas territories and the relationship they have with our country and other offshore territories belonging to member states, and we need to stop them living in that sort of legal limbo land where they can get away with these tax practices that mean we're all losing the revenue that we need to fund our public services.
Dr. Scott Cato, that idea has been bandied about since last week again of a tax haven blacklist. Now, let me ask you about it, because for years organizations like the OECD have had blacklists of the sort. What will that change?
I think the problem is that so far what we've been looking at is just transparency. We've been saying that we need information, but the trouble is that's really not good enough. We actually need to shut down the relationships between the European banks and the European countries and these jurisdictions that are basically focused on tax avoidance. I mean, we often ask in our committee, we have people coming, you know, from PricewaterhouseCoopers or from a big bank, and we say to them, well, why have you got all that activity in a small Caribbean island? You know, is it because of the climate? And the answer is, it's a rhetorical question. We know the answer. We know that they design their activities and set up their subsidiaries in order to minimize their tax liability and the tax liability of their clients. And we have to shut that whole system down. It's not enough to just know what's going on and to have more transparency. We have to actually end this system of tax havens.